Welcome back. 417 Ranch. Anyway, we're going to be making a belt today. So, for this belt that we're going to be making today, first you're going to need, I'm going to go over everything you need for it. You're going to need leather. My choice of leather is 12 to 14 ounce English bridle. You're going to need some way to measure. My choice of measuring is a tailor tape. You can use a tailor tape, a yardstick, a ruler, a square, a protractor, anything you want to measure. Alright, then you're going to need a rotary hole punch or single hole punches, but if you don't have a lot of stuff, this is going to be your better and cheaper option because it gives you all the holes for cheap. Alright, you're going to need an edge beveler. This is my edge beveler. It's a number 3, but it's like a little different. It's weird, I don't know. I got it from some like antique thing, but it's my favorite one. So, edge beveler. You're going to need some way to cut. I use scissors. And you're going to need a strap cutter. So, you can either buy, you're also going to need a burnisher. Mine's attached to a Dremel because proficiency. So, first thing you're going to need to do is get your leather. Get your strap cutter. Set it to 1.5 inches. Well, first you're going to need to make sure your leather has a straight edge on the side that you're working with. So you might need to get a really long straight piece of something, mark a line down it, and cut it. This is really terrible to do that with, but this is what I have, so that's what I do that with. But like rotary cutters, like a pizza cutter wheel thing, or anything else really that cuts, but I use scissors. And then after you got that straight edge, you're going to rip a strap at 1.5 inches. I'm making 2 belts today, so that's why I have 2. 2 rips at 1.5 inches. And then you're going to rip a 1/2 inch piece for your keepers. So these are the keepers. They're 4 1/4 long, but they're 1/2 inch wide. So rip a piece of that, cut these 2 to size. And this is really good if like you're trying to make a little bit of side money. Maybe you're middle school, high school, or whatever, and people want some belts. Like a side of 12 ounce something you could get, and then get all these tools that really don't cost that much and then make you some belts. But today I am going to be stitching, so you could either hand stitch. If you are going to hand stitch, you're going to need needles and thread. I recommend tiger thread. It's what I've always used when I hand stitch, and just some leather sewing needles. You can find those online anywhere really. Oh, I did forget one thing that you are going to need. Let me look for it. You don't need it, but I use it. It's a stitch groover. So it makes a groove in your leather for where you're going to stitch. So, let's get started. First, you're going to need to know your belt measurement. So, actually I'm going to need to be right back. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm right back. So, first things first, get your belt out. Know your belt measurement. I forgot you are going to need one of these. If you don't have one of these, you really don't need one. I can tell you the measurements of it right now. But this is how I have mine set up. So, from outside of the hole to outside of the hole is a hole 6 inches for the biggest outside holes. Alright. Then the next holes are 1.5 inches to the outside of the hole, from if you're holding it on 6 inches from the center. You can see that center mark I marked on the leather. That's at 3 inches. And then it extends a little bit farther this way than it does the other way, and that's because of the way it bends. And then I just have this excess here for my maker's mark. So if you don't have a maker's mark, you don't have to make it that much longer, but that's where I put my maker's mark. That's why I have it there. So 6 inches outside to outside hole, and then it would be 3 inches inside hole to inside hole, and then that 3 inch mark is your center. And then you want to extend your belt loop thingy, your belt prong thingy, a little bit farther towards the inside of the belt. Alright, so this is how I do it. Since I have this, take my pencil, and you can buy these. I just made this, so it has the one end this side, and then this side's my tip end. So first, I usually try to find the thinnest side of the belt to go for the bend, just because usually I don't skive. I don't think it helps anything. Maybe if I was making like a nice dress belt or something, I would skive, but I don't skive these working belts. So I just mark the end where I'm going to cut, and then I'm marking the holes where I'm going to punch. Mark the center. And then that bend, the reason I haven't marked it so I can mark it on the hide itself, because that's where you're going to get your measurement from. And you don't want, if I just took it from the center of this, it'd be a little bit off. So I always put my mark there so I can measure from the mark. So now that you have that side marked up, you can get your length measurement. So I'm making two belts, one on camera. So this one will be a 30. We'll make this one a 32. I feel like that's a pretty good average size. So you take it from that mark, that bit bend, all the way to 32. I'm gonna put a mark there. So that's gonna be my center hole of my belt. So I'm gonna go from that center hole. Some people like them longer, some people like them shorter, but the average is about 7 inches. So I'm gonna do 8 inches just because this is a stock belt. 8 inches to the tip of the belt. So you take your belt measurement from the bend to the hole, then from the hole to the end is your tip measurement, your tail measurement. So now that I have the tail measurement, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on that line. Then I'm going to mark that. And this is not even. One side's even, one side's not, so I flip it. But if you have one that you bought or you made and yours is even, then you don't gotta flip it. But that's why I flip it, in case you're wondering. So I'm gonna cut this out now. Scissors. Cut the little 2 tabs off the end. Then I'm gonna go to the tail. Scrap pile, and sweet. So that piece is trash. This could be scrap. Woo! We got our belt end cut and our tail cut. Looking like a belt, looking like a belt. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna go back to that center hole. Find the center of the belt this way, you know what I'm saying? Mark there, and then I put 3 holes in all my belts. So I go 1 inch farther and then 1 inch back. So this will fit a 32, a 31, and a 33. So now that I have all those holes done there, come to my rotary hole punch. And I don't want the biggest hole. I think I'm 1, 2, 3. I'm 4 back from the biggest hole, and that's what I'm gonna punch the belt and things with. Get it centered, and then you look down it to make sure it's in the center, and it's not, so I move it. Punch that one right on through, brother. Go to this, centered it. Alright, now you got your 3 holes pretty nice and centered, 1 inch apart. Now we're going to go back to the tail, or the bit bend, sorry. Then I'm going to go to my biggest hole. Actually, I'm going to make this one these have snaps on them. So you might need snaps. If you don't, you can use Chicago screws. If you don't have Chicago screws, you can literally use leather to tie the end of the belt together. So not the biggest one, but this will be because I'm using snaps. center. Center. Pretty good and centered. And you can measure to get to your center too, but honestly, eyeballing works just as good for me. This is a part where you could use another tool for this section, but you could also just use your rotary hole punch. You go to the biggest hole, and where that oblong hole is, you just punch, 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 punch. Like, just keep moving your punch over and you can make the hole. But I'm gonna use this oblong punch, like so. And so I'll be right back after I use this. All right, I'm back. Got that hole punch there. Those holes punched, shape's done. Honestly, and then I did this one too while I was waiting to come back to the TV show, you know what I'm saying? So honestly, once that's done, you could really just put it together and wear it. But we're gonna take it one step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step farther. Let's see, now this is where you're gonna need your stitch groover. So you just gonna wanna line this to how far in you want the stitches. I'm gonna do 2, bless me. I'm gonna do 2 stitch lines on this. So it'll be like a double stitch look. It'll be pretty sweet. So, do this. Let me see if I can show y'all. And then this edge sits here. Oh, there we go. This edge sits against there, and then you pull this towards you. Made a scratch, but I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So you just take this, pull it towards you. 1 second. Before I forget, I'm going to put my maker's mark on here. So if we come back and my maker's mark is on there, that's why. Alright, so this is what it looks like once it's done. Getting stitch grooved. Now we're going to stitch it. I said I was going to do 2 stitch lines on this, but it's pretty mulled up. And this is going to be a second anyway, so because of this lamination issue here, it's not like going to ruin the belt, it just doesn't look nice, so that's why it's a second. But we're just going to do 1 stitch line on this bad boy. So I'm not going to show you how to use this because I don't know if you have this. But if you do hand stitch, you will need a stitch-in chisel as well, which looks like this. And you use this and you punch the holes in that, and it takes forever. So I'll come back at you after this is stitched up and we'll assemble it. Alright, the stitching is done. Ah, I did like a blue stitching. Coolio, man. Alright, now we have to bevel the edge. Oh no! So you're gonna take it like this and cut the edge like that, front and back. Whoa! Alright, we've beveled the edges. Now we're going to finish them by burnishing them. So we're going to use our burnishing tool or whatever you may have to burnish, and some, I'm going to use Tokenol, and put it on the edge and burnish it. Let me show y'all what the Tokenol looks like. Just gotta reach back here in my handy dandy wardrobe. Tokenol. And take this, dab it on the edges, and then burnish it. Boom. Edges are done and slicked. It's really hard to tell on this stinking camera, but they're nice and done. Now the next step is snap. The next snap is gonna be, oh my gosh, I got the hiccups. It's either gonna be installing your Chicago screws or installing your snaps in here. So I have snaps. If it's Chicago screws, it's just put them in, tighten them. But I'm going to put my snaps in and I'll be right back at you. Unless you want me to take you along to see how I do the snaps. No, okay. You don't want, no, you don't care? Okay, alright, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. The snaps are in, but I'm not going to show you those yet. We need to make the keeper. So, like I said, 4 1/4, I believe this is. Yeah, 4 1/4. If you wanted to do this without stitching it, but you would need rivets, you would do, you could probably do 4 3/4 and put a hole in it and overlap it like this and rivet it. But I'm going to sew it so it's going to butt like that. So I'm going to put 2 stitch holes here, 2 stitch holes on each side, and then I'm going to sew it together with a sewing needle and some tire thread. So boom. Boom. Now we sew. Boom. Keeper is on. Snaps are on. Buckle is on. Stitching is in. Belt is done. Oh, maybe not. Maybe these holes need another little bit of a punch. Make sure it's not the biggest one, you know what I'm saying? Gee whiz, buddy. There's still a little bit of leather blocking a little bit. Gee whiz, there still is. Alright, we're going to take this. Well, wherever it went. What? My tool. I guess we'll use this. Something to poke out the bottom. There we go. There we go. Now we can put our buckle in the center hole. I punched the holes a little bit small so that they are tight and then they will wear in good instead of wearing in too big. Everything is tight at first when you make new stuff. That way, when it breaks in, it's perfect and then not like stretched out to oversize. Bam, how do we think that looks? Obviously it's a second, so it's got a little marring on it, but I'd say that that's a belt. Put in any comments you have about questions, concerns, coupons for asparagus at the supermarket. What have you got? Put them in the comments. Sand is a foot, my friends. Boom, what's up, 417? Got 2 things for y'all. 2 things. We got 2 belts. This one's a 35 to 37, so the center hole's at 36. Got some stitching. Blue stitch on the outside, like a off-whitish cream color on the inside, all the way around. And this is got snaps on it to change the buckle instead of Chicago screws. So again, this one's 36, fits 35 to 37. It's got like a stainless steel, brushed stainless steel buckle type looking thing. So got that one there. And then we got this one, which is a 31 to 33, so center hole's at 32, like a brushed antiqued copper. This one also has the snaps instead of Chicago screws, and then this one just has single stitch all the way around the outside, and it's like a blue stitching. These are seconds, so what that means is the leather does have some defects in it, but not like catastrophic defects, just like visual defects. So like this one here, it has that mark there. This one right here is just like, it's just not the same thickness all the way through, but it's like very, very close, very similar. So these are going to be running $50 as is, just like this. They're 12 to 14 ounce bridle leather, so they're very strong, sturdy leather. These will last you forever. So if you're interested in this, message me, or they're on the website, so go hit that up. Stay handy as a foot, my friends.